Hi there, today I'm going to take you through how to create a simple dance simulation or animation within Scratch. Now you can see that we're starting on the Scratch homepage. I'm going to click on create at the top here to start our little animation. Now once it's loaded, you're going to be presented with a familiar setup of the coding area, all the blocks and the stage over on this side of the screen. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to get rid of our Scratch the Cat because we're not going to use it today. And actually what I'm going to do is add a background. So I'm going to choose the background tab and I'm going to choose indoors and I want something like a stage or a concert. That's pretty good. I'm going to add this one. Okay. Then I'm going to add a sprite. Now within Scratch there are lots and lots of different sprites. If I click on the dance tab, you'll see lots of different dance characters. And actually, if you hold over them, you can see all the different costumes. Now, I'm going to focus on this one, and this one is in the examples. I'm going to focus on this one for today, but there are lots of examples to look at. So once I've added my sprite, I can position it where I want, and I can shrink it if I want to, if it's a bit too big. This here allows us to change the size. So if I want it to be like 80, I can make it a bit smaller and I'm happy now. So I've got my sprite, I might even make it a bit smaller, let's make it 70. I've got my sprite in the middle of the stage, okay? So now we're gonna start to do some programming to get it to move. Now I may well have already planned out my dance sequence on paper, but equally I might just be working straight into the program. Now in terms of changing the look of the sprite, we need to look under the looks tab of the blocks. Now there's lots of different things to look at here, but the one we're interested in is switch costume, because in order to make our sprite move, we're going to switch between all the costumes. And you can see the costumes here as I click through them. And I'm going to create a fairly simple sequence where we are going to flick between these costumes. So I'm just going to go back to the code, and I've got all the costume names are here. So if I've leg cross, if I click on it, it instantly does it, so you can check to see what your costumes are going to be. Now you can duplicate the blocks so you can have more nice and quickly, or you can just drag on new blocks. So I'm just going to fairly quickly pick a couple. So if I click each one, I can see what's happening. Yep. I'm just going to grab on one more. That's the beginning one, so I'm going to have that start. So then I'm going to place these all together. Now, in between each of these costume blocks, we need to put a control block to slow the program down. And I'm going to pull on a wait block, and I'm going to make it ½ a second. That's a good starting point. I'm just going to duplicate this each time. And then I'm going to click all these things together. Now, if I click on these blocks, it's going to run the little program. Now, I don't want to click on my blocks every time. I want an event block at the top to allow it to happen straight away when I do something. You could have when green flag clicked. I like using spacebar, so when I click the spacebar, then it starts to do the program. Now, I'm going to pause there while I add some more, and then I'll come back in a moment. So I've added on a few more blocks, and if I hit the spacebar, you can see it's going to run through the whole little dance sequence. Now, something that's missing from this is, of course, some music, because no dance is complete without some music in the background. Now, what we need to do is add a sound and then, of course, tell it to play. Now, normally I would put sounds on the backgrounds because it makes most sense that the sound is coming from the background. You can technically put it, though, on any sprite, but I'm going to put it on the background here. I'm going to go to sounds. I'm going to load some sounds. Again, Scratch comes with lots of different sounds already built in. I click down here and click on plus. You've got all these different sounds. Now, as you move along, it's going to make some sounds. I'm going to choose effects or loops, sorry. And this gives you lots of dance loops. So you can just pick something. So that's pretty good. So when I'm happy, it adds it. And now you can, of course, use this within the animation and simulation. This shows you how long it is as well. So this is a 4-second sequence. So in order to make it play, I want it to start when I hit the space key, just like I do when the dance starts. And then I go to sounds, and I just want to play the sound And in this case, I want to do dance space because that's what it was called, dance space, until it's done. So now if I hit the play button, it should run the whole thing. Now this is as I've just said, a 4-second dance. If I go back to the dance here, her dance is 1, 2, 3, 4.5 seconds. So when I click the space bar, it's going to start playing, and then hopefully by the end of it, it stops roughly at the same time. Hopefully that's enough to get you started, and I will be back soon for more advanced features.